funny, I've often spoken to other wood carvers and read magazine articles, books of on carvers that I admire, and a lot of them are really energized and excited at different stages of the sculpture or carving. Some are really into the early stages when the initial forms are being revealed, if you like, and I find that exciting too. But for me, it's always when really the tools are put away and I'm at the stage where it's ready for oil and lacquer and preservative. I don't introduce myself to people as an artist. I'm a wood carver, and I'm very happy to be referred to as a wood carver. Although for me, wood carving is a form of art. About a month ago, I had a call from the manager at the Belvedere House, just outside Mullingar here, to tell me that one of their very old oak trees has been condemned, sadly. Because it's in a public place, it's started to lose limbs and it's become very dangerous, so they're going to have to reduce it back to a main stem, a main stump. They want me to come up with a design because they're thinking of having it carved, and hopefully it will be carved. And I've been doing some sketches for the last few days. This is the design that I've come up with. With hand carving tools, they can go on for generations. In my lifetime, I'll probably wear down another 3-4 millimeters of that steel, and you have all this workable steel left. So this tool essentially will last as a working tool 200 to 300 years. You know, it can be. I've seen old English tools with all these initials stamped on the handle, and they would have been all the previous wood carvers and woodworkers. So the tool itself is full of history, not particularly this one, but it will be, I suppose, after I die and whoever gets to use it afterwards. But there's lifetimes of wonderful work stored in these magnificent tools. Whatever medium you work in, that creative gene you have, or whatever you're born with, or I think there's definitely a little spark in us all that if you keep it ignited and nurture it, it'll stay with you, grow, and it'll grow stronger, and it'll flourish, and you don't know what it's going to become. It can become something good, but I think with me that's how it started. This tree has stood here for at least 200 years, maybe 250, and what I'm always inspired by is all it's seen. It's stood here like a silent sentry, if you like, watching things come and go, watching people come and go, watching whole generations come and go. It's seen wars, it's seen famines, it's seen the birth of a nation here in Ireland. I always feel it's lovely that you're paying homage, you're paying a bit of respect to that wonderful tree by turning it into something that can be appreciated by another generation and put smiles on people's faces, hopefully, if I do a good enough piece of work. And that gives me a huge buzz, massive buzz. Generally, you're looking for a connection, a tangible connection, and from Mullingar to Malachy link is the Lake Lough Ennel, just outside of town, and on Lough Ennel there's an island known as Malachy's Island, which was originally known as Corinish, which is the old Gaelic word for the Isle of Cormorants. He lived out his latter days here after the Battle of Clontarf, where Brian Boru was killed, and his son and grandson, so there would have been no successor to the throne. So Malachy reassumed the High Kingship of Ireland. It was me who decided what he should look like for this sculpture. It would be nice to carve a figure of King Malachy in that massive oak, because physically the oak butt, the main stem, the butt itself, had great girth on it. There was about 6 foot of a diameter, which is rare enough. Really powerful, striking looking king, kingly, regal, all of those qualities. I had to decide what he was going to look like, which is a nice position to be in, because nobody's going to say, well, it doesn't look like. So then I felt, there's something else, it'd be nice to have something interactive and something along with the figure of Malachy. And then sure, it came to me one evening, a throne, Malachy's throne. He's a high king, he has a throne. Physically, it creates more shadow, but it's nearly like you're bringing another dimension to the piece, and it's just lifting it out. It's making it come out of its background, especially if it's in deep relief. and it separates the two. So yeah, I like to think that it gives it a whole new dimension, the charring and the blowtorching. When you oil and nourish the bare wood, the bare carving, in this case Malachy, he's somebody that I created, he's a look that I designed, and he's a character I invented, I suppose. I'm deciding, as I said before, how he looks. So when I give him his initial few coats, he really comes alive, and it's literally like breathing life into Malachy. It's in this case, it's a figure, it's a personality, it's a character, and you know, they're starting to come alive in front of you, especially their facial expression when the oil seeps into every crevice and every bit of carved detail, and you know, you stand back and you go, God, he's here now, you know. Especially when you're applying the final coats of oil to the face, and more so the eyes and the iris and the pupil, and you know, it's the eyes have it. You know, in whether it's a painting, sculpture, whatever it is, the eyes have it, and you know, they're searching, they're seeing into you, the viewer. So you know, when I'm putting on the final coats of oil and it's dripping, you know, down the facial features, down the cheekbones, it's coming out of the eye sockets, and it's nearly like natural tears. I don't know, maybe that sounds a bit odd, but it gives me a huge buzz, and sometimes it's a feeling that I'll never get used to, and you know, I love it. God, you know, we're after putting Malachy back here where he belongs, and you know, he's there as the proud High King, and he's Lord of all he surveys. So that's a nice thought, and that's something extra that I take away from these sculptures, and it's, you know, it gives me a huge lift. And when I see people coming along, and families, adults, children, and you know, they might get the camera out or their phone and take a snap of Malachy, and a little child hopefully will jump up into the throne, young and old, and get their photo taken or whatever. Maybe, you know, they might just decide to research the history of Malachy, the story of Malachy a little bit further for their own, to satisfy their own curiosity. And you know, isn't it lovely to think that maybe, you know, through my work, that if I can help to, maybe with the next generation, maybe younger people, you know, help to make them appreciate ancient and historical Irish figures that they see now through the lens of public art, well then, God, you know, I've done something kind of special. And I just love to think of all the young kids and, you know, the next generation of people who will recognise that that's King Malachy. And there he is, carved in solid oak. He really comes alive, and it's literally like breathing life into Malachy. So all your hard work, you know, really just at that point, it's like shining a bright light on it, and magnifying everything. But Malachy's there now, and he's back in Belvedere, and that makes me really happy and proud.